One more time for the team from Brackley. Welcome to the 2016 Japanese Grand Prix review. Now, Japan was round 17 of the 2016 Formula 1 season, and it took place at Suzuka Circuit in the very early hours of the morning, well, for me and JT anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I love getting up for these early races. It might be a strain from not having enough sleep, and I am at work later on, but it's just the amount of fun. You get up in the dark, and it's pouring out rain out there. But it wasn't in Japan, and obviously it was a fantastic day. The sun was shining, the land of the rising sun for Mercedes. They win the Constructors' Championship for the third year in succession. Absolutely an amazing achievement from them. But they were robbed because obviously, as we know, they could have won it in Malaysia. But finally, they've lifted the trophy, because I was thinking halfway through the race, they're not going to do it today, and they'll have to wait for a fortnight's time to lift it in the US Grand Prix. So without further ado, we're going to kick off this episode like we do normally by awarding the most prestigious honour in Formula 1, and that is the F1 Debate Show's Driver of the Day award. Now, I'm not sure who got the official Formula 1 one, but obviously we don't work with them at all.
Nope, not at all.
So we are going to give it to a man who, I think, above everything else, he's a race winner. But I think above everything else, it's his consistency that really stands out for me. He always has amazing finishes. He started in third place for 3 races this season, and he's always finished in second place for all those races, and today he did as well. He split the Mercedes on the podium, and he kept Lewis Hamilton at bay for about the last 8 laps. So JT, will you please tell our fans who has won the Driver of the Day award for the 2016 Japanese Grand Prix?
Yes, it goes to car number 33 of the Red Bull Racing Tag Heuer, is Max Verstappen. Absolutely tremendous drive this weekend, of course, and today, obviously, winning the Driver of the Day award. I believe this is the second time he's won it. I think he obviously won it in Spain. I think this is the second award that he's picked up, so he's joined the number 2 club in terms of the F1 Driver, the F1 Debate Show Driver of the Day award. Did absolutely amazing drive for such a young talent, splitting the Mercedes, which is very hard to do, even though Hamilton did get a bad start, but we'll move on to that later. So Max Verstappen, this has come to you, first class, wherever you live, either Dutch or Germany or England or America, wherever you live. I don't know where you live. We're no stalkers here, LC. But
depending on where you're going after this, will you be celebrating in Japan? Will you be going back to Holland, as JT said, celebrate, or will you be going to America, getting ready for the US Grand Prix? But we don't know. We'll send you to it. He did leave us a message straight away. Yes, he managed actually to send it on the radio, which is actually quite cool. We've got an F1 Debate Show radio. He actually said, "Thank you very much, LC and JT, for the F1 Debate Show Driver of the Day award. It's amazing. It's the second time I've won it, obviously after Spain, which is amazing. He was the youngest man to win the Driver of the Day award. Now he's the youngest man to win it twice." And then I don't think I want to read out the second part because it's all about blue flags, and it will take me about 40 minutes to read it all out.
Not blue flags again. Don't worry, Max. There's no blue on this trophy, so you're okay. Apart from the ink,
but he's definitely not in the blues about getting the award. Anyway, let's crack on with the most important thing, which was the start. Now, we headed in with obviously Nico Rosberg in first position and Lewis Hamilton in second. Nico was facing more to the right, trying to cut off Lewis. So we thought it was going to be a 1-2 going into the first corner. The massive flowing downhill right-hander into turn 1, where obviously we've seen collisions in the past. Obviously, the very more famous Senna and Prost, obviously where they took each other out, and that was the championship fight as well. Lewis Hamilton got a terrible start, bogged down. I think again it was just down to like human error, because he was even apologising on the radio to Bono about the slow start. So he slipped down from second to 8th position, absolutely unbelievable. And I've got to say, heading into about the third, fourth corner, JT, I thought that, I was like, no, Nico's won the championship now, because there's no way Lewis will be able to get back from this. I mean, coming into this weekend, obviously he was on a low because he lost the lead of the World Championship. He's using a used engine from this season, obviously, so then he avoided a grid penalty, obviously, which we saw like Jenson Button get for his power unit back of the grid, and obviously that would have been even worse for Lewis. So he's very low, and then obviously after the first corner, I mean, he would probably be almost crying in his helmet thinking, I've lost this championship, haven't I?
Yes, exactly. I think a lot of fans thought that at the start. I did as well, because I'm like, oh, there's another bad start for Lewis Hamilton. I've always associated Lewis Hamilton with good starts, and obviously in a car like what he's got, he should be doing well, but for some reason he just can't get the starts right. It doesn't matter what he does. Rosberg always seems to upper hand. I remember watching the start, and then obviously you've seen the Red Bull swerve, then the Ferrari swerve, nearly making contact with Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel was. And obviously Lewis Hamilton said on the team radio, sorry guys, and that was about it. And obviously Bono was like, oh, it's okay, Lewis, just get your head down, focus. Look, it was in the early stages of the race when he did lose the lead. Obviously having time to come back, change the strategy, and that once he went on them hard tyres, I think that's when his race changed. hard tyres worked well for him. Didn't work as much for other drivers, but for Lewis Hamilton, it worked wonders. It worked wonders in my opinion. But apart from that, he was probably one of the few drivers who never got distracted by blue flags, LC, because that was pretty much on the agenda, which has been appropriate. I've just noticed us two. You're wearing Mercedes because they've won the constructors, and I'm wearing blue for the blue flag. So this is
I shouldn't like you, Jason.
amazing clothing, like amazing clothes, LC. I didn't know very much about it. I've just actually noticed that, to be fair. But yeah, blue flags was pretty much the only thing we can talk about this weekend. Apart from, yes, Mercedes have won the constructors. Congratulations to them. But blue flags was pretty much on the agenda. And whoever better does it move on to next than Sebastian Vettel? Blue flags. It seems to be his good friend. He complained throughout the Grand Prix, pretty much on Carlos Sainz, on the Renaults, on the Saubers, on Pascal Wehrlein as well. Honestly, hands left, right, and centre. It was absolutely amazing. He did so much. I thought he was going to like, see you later, guys. I thought he saying hi to everybody. I thought Vettel was being kind. It was absolutely. Hi, how you doing? Right, Vettel, that's right, just ranting and raving on the team radio. And then Max Verstappen must have, obviously Max Verstappen being a young kid, looked up to like a little kid to his dad, like, oh, I'll follow through. I'll do what my dad does. And now Max Verstappen's now doing it. Blue flags left, right, and centre. But I mean, there was some times where yes, the cars moving out the way should have got out of the way a lot sooner. But as the commentators were saying on Sky F1, that they were saying that it's such a narrow track, you can't get out the way quickly. Where can you go, really, especially when you're going through the curves? 130R, for example, that's a very fast corner. You can't, there's not much you can go, and obviously they don't want to go off the track and ruin their race just to let some car pass. So that was on the agenda, but it did ruin Sebastian Vettel's race, I thought, at times. But I think Vettel needs to calm down. He has a very stressful weekend. He did have a good start, then he did lose out because of them blue flags. LC, I think that pretty much what ruined his race. I think he could have got higher, but blue flags with Sebastian Vettel's good friend yet again.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, obviously, yeah, he could have been battling for the podium positions. So it was a bit of a shame that he wasn't on there. Obviously, he really wanted to because, as we know, obviously three wins last year, 0 wins this year, and he's probably not looking like he's going to win any of the remaining 4 races. So he needs to get on the podium. He needs to do a good race. But it was great about the blue flags. It was ruining a lot of people's race. Obviously, Hamilton kept a cool head again. I was watching him on the onboard camera. There was no arm waving from him, so if anything, that was good. And Raikkonen was just, obviously, as we know, Raikkonen, can get a bit vocal on the radio. He was just come on, guys, what's going on here? But yeah, as we know, Vettel, and as we know, because we made a team radio video, Vettel was actually the first one, so I hope you watched that. Yep. Obviously, as we know, there's been a lot of times on there where you can't even understand what he's saying. He just goes off in these massive rants. And there was one point, JT, where Martin Brundle on Sky Sports F1 said that Sebastian Vettel was writing an audio book on blue flags, because he was things like, you have to move outside, you've got 2 flags to get past, you've got to let the other person by, you've got to go on to the bad side of the track just to let them by, they're not racing. And I was like, oh my god, are you telling us, I hope Charlie Whiting's listening.
What are we doing here, racing or making an audio book? Come on, Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, what are we doing here, racing or ping pong, racing or blue flag pong?
Oh my word.
But yeah, that was really, really bad from them. But really, that was probably the only real drama that happened in the race. Now, JT, I know you like this for a fact. It was Nico Hülkenberg's overtake into. By the way, before I get into that, guys, I've got to make an apology. In the preview, I was talking about the 1989 collision between Senna and Prost into a certain chicane. It was called the Casino chicane. I call it the Dunlop chicane, which doesn't even exist. I was just getting confused because I was thinking, well, where's there a casino in Japan? It must be Monaco, but it is called the chicane. I can't say it. The Casino chicane. Yes, anyway, getting back on the topic, I know you like this, JT, where Nico Hülkenberg did his overtake on the, I think it was the Toro Rosso, wasn't it, or the Williams?
Yes, I think so.
And then he did a very funny and memorable radio message. And do you want to tell our fans what that is?
See you later. I thought it was amazing. I was like, oh, how cocky can you get? I think it was the Williams he overtook. Obviously, go into the final chicane and just obviously it must have happened straight away, but we didn't hear it until about 2 minutes later. And obviously went back to the replay to see what it was on about, and just went, see you later. I was like, oh, that it's just the way it sounded as well. It was absolutely, I thought it was just really, really funny. I thought that obviously I put a status up on our page, and I was, that was really, really funny. But then there we go again. Force India had an absolutely tremendous race as well. When Lewis Hamilton had his false start, Perez jumped up to P3. And he had a very good start for the first few laps, but then he started falling away. I think like Ricciardo got him, then Vettel got him, so he was struggling. But A 2-point scoring finish for the Force Indians. That means that I think they're about 10 points ahead of Williams now.
That's right, yeah.
So now they're a bit. I think this Force India are gonna, pull away from Williams now, because Williams, yes, they score points, but the pacing on them cards today was horrible. I mean, I must say they just had nothing. You know what I mean? Like the Haas will come, and Toro Rosso will come with them. They had nothing. I think they left. I think they're on the tyres too long. I think Williams got they even got their pit stops wrong, because we know Williams like for pit stops this season. I think Bottas had a bit of a struggle on the front right. I think it was on the rear right, and obviously lost some time there, losing some positions, but. That's Williams' season summed up, really. It wasn't one to remember, unfortunately. But I think Force India now, they can't get third, because it's about nearly 200 points away now.
Yeah.
I think fourth is going to be Force India.
It's very much safe.
Yes, Williams. I'm not. No offense, Williams, unless you pull something out the bag, or maybe Force India have a double retirement. But unless Williams pulls something out the bag, I think fifth place is going to be theirs. I think Toro Rosso are the next team behind them, so I think they're too far ahead. I think McLaren had a shocking weekend. I think.
Oh, it was absolutely ridiculous.
It was terrible, in my opinion. McLaren fan Jensen, where am I? No, wrong. I'm running the wrong one. Normally I have a 22 there, but wrong jumper. Jensen Button, bad race, started at the back of the grid. Fernando Alonso didn't do much, unfortunately. I mean, I'm very disappointed. Qualifying was bad. The race was probably even worse, in my opinion. But no, it was a home race. I'll say they should be doing well with Honda engine. It was very annoying, because people were saying this was McLaren's home race.
Yeah.
It's not McLaren's home race.
Honda's
it's the
home
engine
race.
supplier home race. So people were getting a little bit confused, and I was like, I need to correct that. But I'll say bad race for McLaren, in my opinion.
And the worst thing as well, JT, about it is obviously the power unit Honda, and Jensen Button had to replace that, which means he got a 45-place grid penalty, which, by the way, it just means 22 or 21, which means he starts at the back of the grid, because he can't go back to 45th position. He starts from the back of the grid, which was a real shame. And even after about 5 laps, I think they went down to Ted Kravitz, and he was like, "Where is Jensen now?" And they expected him to be about 14th, and he was like, "No, still 20 seconds." Didn't start.
And he's last again.
Speaking about bad teams, JT, we've got to mention this team. Both in the top 10 yesterday was the Haas drivers, Roman Grosjean and Esteban Gutierrez. Really, really, really disappointing from them. And I've got to say, I mean, I was actually hoping that they would chuck something in the bag, and obviously Roman Grosjean's won the Driver of the Day award once, obviously in Australia, the opening race. Could have won it twice in Bahrain, obviously he got it on the Formula 1 page, but we wanted to give it to Stoffel Van Dorn. And then obviously Esteban never won it, but it was a real disappointment from them. Obviously Roman Grosjean in 11th place, just outside the points, probably one of the worst positions to finish. You try your heart out, but you finish just outside the points, but dropping positions. And then obviously Esteban Gutierrez finished a whole lap down. He dropped so many positions to finish 20th position. There was no retirements, so obviously 20th out of 22 is unbelievably disappointing for them, especially heading into the team's home race, obviously in the United States, which, I mean, they've got to be hoping that they'll get a better position, a better result. They could have this year, this race, they should have, both in the top 10, JT, but I mean, it was incredibly disappointing for them.
I was good, yeah. I was very disappointed, because I just caught the highlights, but yesterday when I was at work, I managed to see the results just before I left, and I was like, Haas into Q3, both of them as well. That's absolutely amazing. I thought, right, this is going to be a good weekend for them, and obviously I was disappointed, because I wanted them to score some points. I wanted them to do well. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But as like you said, LC, heading into the home race, they are going to be on a bit of a low, but I think they will pick it up. I think the American Grand Prix is going to be their Grand Prix, but this is the Japanese Grand Prix, and it wasn't their Grand Prix, unfortunately. Obviously, I know you like Haas, so obviously I think you must have been a bit like, a bit of a shame, unfortunately.
I didn't think they'd do great. Obviously, Roman Grosjean dropped a lot. By the way, I've got to mention, it was Nico Hülkenberg. He was very close to pushing Roman Grosjean off the track, which meant a lock up into the first corner. I just noticed that. Obviously, Roman dropped a few positions, got a flat spot on his tyre. I just noticed that, and I was thinking, is Hülkenberg going to get a penalty for that? Because obviously we've seen that in the past before, where drivers have retired from that, and obviously again for Roman to keep that car on the track was very lucky, because as soon as you go on that, you go on the AstroTurf, then you go on the gravel, and then obviously as soon as you're in the gravel, you're out. The rear spins round, and then you are out. Which obviously we've seen Fernando Alonso and people like that doing. You get one rear wheel on the gravel. Then they're off the go, and then there's no retrieving from that. But obviously, it was a really disappointing race for them. But it was but it was showing promise for Ferrari. Now again, JT, this is a team that we give a bit of stick to a lot of the time, but it really was showing promise. Obviously, 4th and 5th. Again, a good, strong finish from them. Again, obviously, they both had penalties. Ryan had a 5-place grid penalty for changing his gearbox. Sebastian had a 3-place grid penalty, which was then changed to a 2-place grid penalty for his collision in Sepang. So again, 4th and 5th was good for them. And as you mentioned, the blue flags disrupted Vettel's race, probably more so than Raikkonen's race. But obviously, again, it affected them both, and they could have had podium positions, or at least one of them could have had podium positions. Do you think it could have been Vettel maybe on the podium?
Possibly, I thought he did a very good drive when I went into the first corner. I was like looking at Vettel going, is he going to make it out alive? And obviously he did. He did a very good race, I must say, but he did get held up, and obviously the Mercedes caught him, as did the Red Bulls as well. Obviously beat him on strategy as well. So, obviously that's pretty much Ferrari's story, isn't it? Yeah. Beating on strategy, but I think Vettel would have had a really good chance if Raikkonen didn't get a penalty. Obviously he would have started P3, and maybe he would have had a shout, because They've had a strong weekend, Ferrari, both of them.
Yeah.
It's just today never really worked out for them, unfortunately. And I think the gap is about just over 30 points from Red Bull. I think around that mark.
Yeah.
So I think it's unlikely they're going to catch them. But I mean, Ferrari, in my opinion, they've had a dreadful weekend. Vettel hasn't been. I said dreadful season rather. Vettel, hasn't really been there. As like you said, Elsie hasn't won a race. Raikkonen, on the other hand, he's done better at some points. One point, he was second in the World Championships at the start of the season, so that's the only thing, good thing to show for them. But I mean, if Ferrari do get a win before the end of the season, which is a miracle in my opinion, then that'll calm, that'll put maybe take off some of the fire that's burning right now with Ferrari. But I was good because I'm good for Ferrari in a way because I'm like I want Ferrari to do well. I follow Ferrari a little bit, but. It is a bit of a shame, but and obviously just before we do end this review, Renault have actually ended their brilliant form of scoring 1 point in 2 consecutive races.
Oh, but did we think that would last?
No, I just thought I'd mention it because obviously we love Renault, don't we, Elsie?
Oh, we love Renault. But I mean, it was amazing. If they scored points this weekend, that would be like wow.
If they scored points this weekend,
they could have even. I mean, yeah,
constructors next season.
It'd been an amazing finish to the season, just scoring points in every single race. But as JT said, all good things must come to an end. So that's one of them things, which was a real shame. Just the last thing I want to mention briefly before we end this review is Red Bull. Obviously, as we know, Max Verstappen in 2nd place, but a very, very, very disappointing JT. Daniel Ricciardo's 6th place. Now he was showing promise coming through, and again, obviously they suit tracks like Austria, shorter tracks, more technical tracks with high-speed corners, and just more technical because they have more downforce and things like that. So Suzuka should have been right up there, rally. And obviously again they had loads of support. There was loads of red and blue, obviously for Red Bull, and then obviously orange for Verstappen in the grandstands. But disappointing, especially for Ricciardo. I mean, Verstappen did well. But again, I mean, it wasn't great from Verstappen. I mean, they were saying on the radio, they were saying on the telly that he was going to be using the charging of the ERS system to keep Hamilton at bay. And I was thinking, well, come on. I mean, I know he's keeping Hamilton behind, which is good. Obviously, he's taken 3 points off him. Obviously, Max is getting 3 points over Hamilton, and then he's separating 10 points between Rosberg and Hamilton, which obviously, so again, is doing Rosberg a favour. But that's not the way I think Verstappen probably wanted to get on the podium and go, hang on a minute, I've beaten Hamilton, but only through like a technicality of he couldn't pass me because obviously the track isn't wide enough. I'm a car and I'm charging my ERS system, which means I'm going slower. So I wouldn't, even though obviously Verstappen comes second, JT, I wouldn't say it was a great race for Red Bull. If I had to rate it, I'd probably say it's around a 6, probably slipping into a 5. And I know that's strange to say because, as I say, Verstappen gets a second and wins Driver of the Day award. So what would you say Red Bull did?
Yeah, I think Red Bull had a quiet weekend, obviously. I mean, 3rd and 4th on the grid because of Ferrari's demotion. Obviously, Ferrari finished ahead of them, so again, qualifying wasn't good. Obviously, coming off the back of last weekend, we did say in the preview that Red Bull will possibly do well, especially Ricciardo won the last Grand Prix. Max Verstappen as well came home in 2nd place, 1-2 for Red Bull. That was actually their first 1-2 since Malaysia 2013, so that's how Malaysia 2013 should have went. But Daniel Ricciardo 6th place, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, Max Verstappen, yes, obviously technical problems, technical advantages gave him the second place, which is kind of the story in modern Formula One. Obviously people complain about DRS, about ARS. Obviously when Kurz was about all these electrical components on the car, it's kind of taken the skill away from the driver, and that's what everyone's complaining about. Obviously that's kind of shown there, but we all know what skill Max Verstappen has.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it. He showed it Toro Rosso. He showed it this season. So I mean, on the side of that, yes, I think it's 50% car, 50% man. And I think the 50% car side showed more a little bit, possibly 52-48, let's say, this weekend on Red Bull side of things. But not taking anything away from Max Verstappen. He did drive well, obviously on the last bit, but throughout the entire of the race, Daniel Ricciardo did all right, but he did some really good overtakes, especially at Spoons, at the Spoon corner, Spoon curve, shall I say. I think the first one he had a bit of we went wide, didn't really make it stick when he was overtaking the Renault. Weird. And then the other two times, obviously, he did some really good overtakes as well. Superb drive, but P6, bit of a shame. Obviously, I don't know how you feel about that, LC, because you follow Red Bull. You must be bitterly disappointed that Ricciardo couldn't get more.
Yeah, not
but
good.
On the upper side of things, you beat Ferrari, so
yeah,
that's
good.
That's your objective.
Obviously, that's good, JT. And when you're talking about Verstappen there, the biggest thing that gets me is the consistency. I know he's a race winner, which is great, obviously, so it's 1-1 at Red Bull. Daniel has beaten him in qualifying pace. I think it's almost now level in terms of finishing pace, and finishing results as well, which is quite strange, obviously, with Max being a forest at Toro Rosso. But Max has always been consistent, and even at Toro Rosso as well, they weren't pulling out even below, into the top fives, but he was still very consistent in his results, which is great to see Verstappen. But I think this is probably the first time we've ever seen, almost as you say, JT, like a technicality through this new ERS been here for 2 years now, so obviously since then.
Two ERS.
But again, they said on the radio, oh god, guys, you get what you pay for. They said on the radio that as you know, sorry, they said on the telly that obviously, as you said, JT, DRS, some people don't like it because it's artificial and it's another aid, which it's not racing really. It's not right. But obviously that's another video where we'll talk about DRS. Might do if it's a problem. We don't think it's a problem. I really like DRS.
I remember when it first came into action in 2011. I was a bit like, taking that away from taking the overtaking side away from the driver. But I remember obviously the first DRS overtake was in Australia, obviously, but the one that a non-overtake was actually Lewis Hamilton when he overtook Sebastian Vettel in China. I always remember that because obviously at the time I was following Hamilton, following McLaren, and I was boasting at everyone. I was like, "Oh, Hamilton overtook Sebastian Vettel without DRS. Who needs DRS?" But no. I really have grown into DRS. The other components, however, I'm not a big fan of because, as I said, taking that away from the driver. DRS helps. I mean, as Sky F1 was saying, when Alonso was behind Vitaly Petrov, 2010. Obviously, he could have had DRS then.
Yep.
He would have overtaken them, no problem whatsoever. Couldn't, lost the championship. So, you could argue that is a good reason why we don't have DRS. But I think DRS, it does help a lot, and it does spice things up a little bit.
Yep.
When, say, for example, you're chasing someone for the lead, and then you overtake them via DRS. I mean, if they didn't have DRS, then it could be a very close battling. But, it's one side for the fans, it's good. One side of the drivers, it's good. But everything in Formula 1 right now has the good or bad opinion, in my opinion, anyways. It'll see. But,
yeah, exactly. It's great. Obviously, I remember that was Abu Dhabi when he was battling Sebastian Vettel's Fernando Alonso, and he was stuck behind the Renault of Vitaly Petrov at that point. Was it Renault? Yeah. Yes, it was Renault.
Yes, it was Renault. Yeah.
And
when Renault was good.
Yeah, when Renault were good. Yes, obviously that was round 17, guys. So I'll just read out the result if you didn't watch the race. It was Nico Rosberg, the winner. And they also he will take home 2 pieces of hardware at Brackley, obviously his first place, and then also if he can touch the Constructors' Championship, which is absolutely amazing. I don't know who stood on the podium, but obviously whoever stood on Total Wolf maybe will be very happy that they have that to their name. Again, they could have claimed that last week, and in Malaysia, should have really. Max Verstappen came in second place, Lewis Hamilton came in third to make it a Mercedes Red Bull Mercedes on the podium. Very angry Sebastian Vettel in fourth, Kimi Raikkonen in fifth, Daniel Ricciardo in sixth, Sergio Perez in seventh, Nico Hülkenberg in eighth, Felipe Massa in ninth. You know what you said to that, JT? You went, "See you later."
See you later.
And then Valtteri Bottas in 10th. Obviously, Roman Grosjean in a very pitiful 11th. Palmer in 12th. Kvyat in 13th. 14th, Magnussen. 15th, Marcus Ericsson. 16th, Fernando Alonso. 17th, Carlos Sainz. 18th, Jenson Button, unfortunately, very disappointing, but there wasn't much you could do from them, especially starting from the back. Felipe
Oh,
Massa in
yeah.
19th, Esteban Gutierrez, for some reason, was in 20th. I don't know where he went from. Esteban Ocon in 21st, and then right at the back was Pascal Wehrlein. Manor, there's no even point to talk about them. They
Nah,
didn't do a race
they
at all.
they
So it was, that they are the results. And then also the last thing to mention is obviously the results of the driver standings. Rosberg is ahead on 313 points. Hamilton is behind on 280 points. So that is a 33-point lead Nico Rosberg has heading into the US Grand Prix, which is round 18. So we have four rounds left, guys. So we have the US Grand Prix, Mexico straight afterwards, then two races in November, Brazil, and the curtain falls in Abu Dhabi. So we will see you in a fortnight's time at the US Grand Prix. Bye, guys.
say that, guys.